And welcome back to America Talks Live. Thank you for sticking around for the second hour.
Yep, thanks for sticking around with us. Now, we heard from President Trump a little while ago. He had his roundtable on immigration, many members of Congress with him, folks from the law enforcement community. He was speaking, of course, at the White House about the ongoing immigration and family separation debate. We're going to get back to that, in just a moment. But right now we want to switch gears and talk about a lawsuit filed against an Indiana university on behalf of a pro-life students group.
And that's where we want to welcome in Caleb Dalton, an attorney for the Center for Academic Freedom, and Father Frank Pavone, director of Priests for Life. Thank you both for joining us here on America Talks Live. Pleasure to see you. So, Caleb, let's begin with you.
Yeah, Caleb, let's lay out the lawsuit. Now, you're representing this group called Students for Life at Ball State University. Explain to us exactly why you're suing the university and how this litigation came to be.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. Universities are meant to be the free marketplace of ideas, and Ball State University failed to implement that core fundamental freedom that universities are supposed to uphold in this case. What they did is they denied Students for Life, a club, their access to the funds that their members paid into that was supposed to be distributed equally to all student groups. They discriminate against pro-life viewpoints while funding other groups that have pro-choice viewpoints. This is supposed to be a free marketplace where all viewpoints are upheld equally, and Ball State University has really failed to uphold that core principle.
So, Caleb, so for the audience, and so we understand properly, so all student groups pay into, let's call it a general fund, but your organization was denied access to funds that other groups with different political views were given access to.
Right. Every single student is required to pay over $1,000 a year in mandatory student fees. This isn't tuition. It's not going toward their classwork. This is mandatory student fees, and a portion of that is set aside for the student groups. So every member of Students for Life that we represent paid into that, and they were denied equal access to that funding. And that's discrimination against their viewpoint. The First Amendment doesn't allow that type of discrimination in a free society.
Okay, thanks for that explanation. That clears it up nicely. So, Father Frank, hearing this as an outsider, it sure seems to me like Caleb's group is being discriminated against. Do you feel, Father, there's a trend of discrimination against Christian groups on college campuses?
Well, yes, we experience that very, very much on a daily basis in the pro-life movement. What we have to understand is here that the discrimination against Students for Life is really an effect of the fundamental discrimination against the unborn child that is written into our law. We have to understand, too, that these students are advocating on an issue that cuts across religious viewpoints, political ideologies, and people of all or no religious persuasion are convinced enough just by science and common sense that children shouldn't be killed in the womb. And so when a university says, well, you know, we can't have our groups advocating one or another political, religious, or ideological viewpoint, first of all, why not? Don't we want our students to learn how to advocate for what they believe in? But secondly, the pro-life issue, this is not about some particular political, religious, or ideological viewpoint. It's about saving lives. That cuts across everything. And the discrimination that these students are experiencing, which is undeniable, is, in fact, again, it's an effect of a more fundamental discrimination that we need to fix in this country, that the unborn child is not even recognized as a person.
Now, Caleb, before we move on to a different topic, we're going to move on to immigration, but I wanted to ask you, in addition to filing lawsuits, if there are other students at other universities that are in situations that don't rise yet to litigation, to that standard, what can they do?
Yeah. Absolutely. At the Center for Academic Freedom, at Alliance Defending Freedom, we represent students on cases like this. So if a student is discriminated against, if they're being denied equal access to a forum on campus, if they're told they have to speak in a specific speech zone, we had clients who are arrested for passing out the Constitution without a permit. If you're told that as a student, that's a problem. That's not, the university is failing to uphold the marketplace of ideas like it's supposed to. So you can contact a group like Alliance Defending Freedom. With our Center for Academic Freedom, we'd be happy to look at your case and see what we can do to help you uphold the principles of the First Amendment at your university.
Caleb Dalton, the attorney for Center for Academic Freedom, thank you so much for your time. Good to have you.
Thanks, Caleb.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.